At an electricity plant near town, workers are having a party for a colleague's birthday when they suddenly spot something odd on the security cameras. They notice a shadow moving in the shaft. One of the employees investigates but is unexpectedly attacked by a strange monster. This guy tries to head back to the office, but a group of these creatures follows him, going on a killing spree throughout the building. As the sun disappears behind an eclipse, these creatures start emerging all around the world, causing mass destruction and claiming countless lives. The media dubs it Judgment Day, and soldiers are dispatched to engage these monsters in a war that lasts the entire duration of the eclipse. Despite losing numerous lives and a substantial amount of resources, the creatures are eventually wiped out, and humanity starts the process of rebuilding. They construct defensive structures known as gates in case these creatures ever return. 15 years pass, and life returns to a normal rhythm worldwide. Dave works as a janitor at a poorly paying company, often having to venture into the shafts to remove dead animals. Laura, on the other hand, is a teacher at a local school. She forms a friendship with her coworker Milton, who persistently asks her out. Having divorced Dave many years ago, Laura is still dealing with unresolved matters. But today she agrees to go out with Milton. Meanwhile, Laura's son Tyler meets with his girlfriend Maddie, who's concerned about the upcoming eclipse. Tyler reassures her, pointing out that multiple eclipses have occurred over the last 15 years without incident. At the same time, Officer Garrett receives a call from gate personnel, urging him to come over due to confirm significant seismic activity and an approved containment procedure. When Garrett arrives at the gate, he senses that this isn't just a drill. While inspecting the systems, a power box unexpectedly explodes, causing a complete grid failure. In the city, Dave picks up Tyler from Laura's house. While Tyler plays video games, Dave and Laura find themselves arguing. It's revealed that Laura was pregnant with Tyler during the previous catastrophe, and Dave wasn't there to support her, an issue she hasn't yet forgiven him for. Tyler interrupts their argument and leaves with his dad. Later that night, Dave gets a call from his Uncle Ted, who is convinced that the new Judgment Day will arrive tomorrow. Uncle Ted invites Dave and his family to his shelter before the eclipse commences. Tyler is watching the news and feels really unsettled because he's seeing reports about millions of dead fish showing up on beaches all over the place. This is one of the signs that people saw 15 years ago. Right then, a huge monster shows up at the gate, sneaking up the stairs without making much noise. At the same time, Laura gives Dave a call. She saw the news too and wants Tyler to come home because Milton has secured a shelter. Dave, on the other hand, wants Tyler to stay with him. This leads to an argument. During this argument, Tyler gets a text that prompts him to leave the house secretly. When Dave goes to find Tyler later on, all he finds in Tyler's room is a note with Maddie's number on it. Milton is pressuring Laura to hurry up since the shelter is filling up quickly, and they need to get there soon. Laura explains that Tyler has gone somewhere, prompting Milton to use the boy's phone number to track his location using some special software. This leads him to the skate park, where Tyler is with Maddie. Maddie is really nervous and scared because her parents have left. Tyler assures her that he's different from his dad and won't abandon her. Suddenly, a loud cry rings out, and enormous flocks of birds appear in the sky. This is another sign of something bad happening. People in the park start running around in panic, and the roads quickly become congested as families try to leave the town. At that moment, they notice on a monitor that a massive creature is relentlessly battering the front door in an attempt to get inside. Dave suggests leaving, but Ted is resistant, fearing for his wife's survival outdoors. Stella encourages him to go, mentioning an underground passage beneath the bunker leading to the mountains. Garrett surprises them by offering his car, fully fueled, to take everyone to safety at the gate. Skeptical, the group debates whether to trust him, until Garrett points out that helping them is in his best interest. Ultimately, they decide to take the chance. Before leaving, Ted reveals his stash of weapons, and everyone arms themselves. As they enter the tunnel, Dave stays behind to blow up the first monster that breaches the front door before rejoining the group. Once they seal the tunnel, they emerge outside and realize that Stella is struggling to walk due to her transformation into a beast. Further down the road, Tyler spots a seemingly lifeless monster. Maddie attempts to touch it, but Tyler intervenes just in time. As she turns away, a long tentacle emerges from a hole in the ground, snaring her legs and trying to drag her. Tyler and Dave manage to rescue her, with Laura shooting at the tentacle to force it to release its grip. They make a frantic escape. Eventually, Garrett persuades Dave to free him so he can assist in case of another attack. Unbeknownst to the group, Dave is concealing an injury on his arm. After some time, they reach the mountaintop only to witness the city in flames. Heartbreakingly, they find that Garrett's car won't start. Monsters suddenly appear atop the mountain and start charging toward them. Garrett desperately tries to restart the car while Stella takes Ted's gun, intending to end her life before her transformation completes. A struggle ensues between Ted and Stella until Dave intervenes, realizing there's no hope. Stella waits for the monsters to reach her, and they swiftly overwhelm her. Finally, Garrett manages to get the car running, and they escape, leaving the monsters behind. Along the way, they catch a radio broadcast reporting the destruction of most shelters during the onslaught. Eventually arriving at the gate, they notice the open door and the lack of response on the radio. They cautiously enter, discovering a power outage. Garrett and Dave take on the task of restoring power, while the others search for a first aid kit upon discovering Ted's back wound. As they tend to Ted, Dave successfully brings the power back online. Garrett explains that the gate had been prepared for a second invasion with salt water pumped in, but the breach was too deep. As Dave and Garrett head back from restoring power, they come across a body and a deafening roar from the darkness. Frightened, Garrett rushes back to the group to discuss their options. They have 2 hours left until the end of the eclipse. Garrett suggests taking refuge in a chemical warehouse due to its blast-proof doors. However, as they leave the medical bay, a transformed human attacks Garrett. He and Dave team up to defeat the creature, but the commotion attracts more monsters. Terrified, Garrett bolts through a door and seals it, leaving the others behind. He administers himself an injection to resist the transformation. Dave brings his family to a different room and notices there are lines for dispersal present there, indicating that the tank is located on the opposite side of the wall. This sparks an idea in his mind. He'll channel the salt water through the tank's pipes to keep the monsters at bay. Just before leaving, Laura gives him a kiss. Right at that moment, the door shatters, prompting the family to flee. Dave navigates through the ventilation system, where he observes a monster devouring its prey within the room. Upon reaching the tank, he takes care to be as quiet as possible while turning on the faucet, initiating the flow of water into the containers. Dave then makes his way back, but the monster detects him and starts pursuing him, grabbing onto his leg. As Dave fights back, he sprinkles salt on it, causing the monster to crumble into dust. Meanwhile, the others find themselves surrounded by monsters, and Tyler begins shooting at them. Suddenly, Dave's voice emanates from the loudspeaker, instructing them to activate the fire alarm. With the monsters drawing closer, Ted instructs Tyler to safeguard the family before he goes after the monsters armed with an axe. However, multiple creatures pounce on Ted and swiftly kill him. Tyler continues firing until he runs out of ammunition. He then triggers the fire alarm, leading salt water to rain down on the monsters, causing them to disintegrate while emitting painful squeals. Right at that moment, the eclipse concludes and all the monsters start retreating to their realm through a portal, triggering another earthquake. Laura and the children encounter Garrett while trying to move, but Garrett is undergoing a transformation and has lost his sanity. He shoots Tyler, injuring his shoulder. Before he can fire again, Dave appears behind Garrett and strikes him in the head with a fire extinguisher. As Dave reunites with his family, an enormous monster emerges from below and lunges at Garrett, swallowing him whole. The family rushes into the medical unit and prepares a mixture containing salt in a cylinder. As soon as the monster smashes down the door, they toss the mixture at it, swiftly killing it. Subsequently, the family ventures outside only to discover that the world has been completely devastated. Nevertheless, they are now prepared to initiate the process of rebuilding.